Hey everyone, it's Jen and this is Lodo Family. If you're new here, I want to welcome you and I also want to give you just my 30 seconds who we are. So here at Lodo Family, we help families, okay? We focus on three areas. We want to save money at the grocery store, we want a meal plan, and we want to reduce food waste because there's no point in buying food if you end up throwing it away. That just costs you more money. So every week we put out a new low-cost menu. Most of them have themes. This whole summer, we have been doing no oven meals, really emphasizing the quick, the easy, and the yummy. This week is no exception. I don't know about you, but I thought I was going to have more time once my kids went back to school, and that is proving not to be true. I have just been way overbooked, way over busy, and by the time dinner comes around, I am just mentally shot. I need super quick, super easy. So that's what we're doing this week. We are trying to do all meals that take less than 30 minutes, but we've also got a good variety this week. We're going to use lots of different meats. So let's look at the menu. As you can see, we are going to do some chicken, some shrimp. We're going to do brats. We're going to use up the leftover chicken. We're going to do an actual vegetarian night. And then we're going to have the last one. It's actually up to you what you want to do. So let's get into each of these meals. But first, let's look at that grocery list. Here is our shopping list for the week. Now you notice I've gotten it broken up into different sections. This is for two reasons. It helps me keep it organized. It makes sure that I double check my freezer, my pantry, my fridge, make sure I have all these items. Plus, once I get to the store, I know that this is the stuff that I need to get from the produce section. This is what needs to be from the meat department. And then I'm not crisscrossing the store because things were out of order and I maybe missed something that I needed in that department. So this week we did all of the prices from the Walmart Supercenter in, I'm going to mispronounce this, Gibsonia, Pennsylvania. That's what made sense to me. If you live there, I'm so sorry. I just totally, that was awful. Okay, our total came out to $59.23, and I have included everything that you'll need for this menu. The only items I am assuming you have is going to be whatever your preferred cooking oil is, whatever your favorite seasonings are. You will need some chili powder this week, but we just had it on a menu, so hopefully you already have it. If not, it's like $1.12 at Walmart. I also am assuming you have butter. That's a staple item in my house, and really you just need one stick of it. If you don't have it, you could easily use margarine or any other butter alternative. Totally up to you. Now, before I forget, definitely go down into the description. I have a link to my website. You can see all of these slides and just take your time with them, but there's also a free printable where you can get the shopping list and all of the recipes. Prints out to, I think, about 4 pages. Super easy, just regular sheets of paper. So let's get into the meals. Now, the first one is a simple crock pot meal. Now, you may have seen the Mississippi pot roast or the pork roast, but we're going to do it with chicken. We're going to use a whole 3-pound bag of chicken breast, but honestly, you can do this with boneless, skinless thighs, really anything that you like. Now, it's the same type of concept where you're going to use ranch seasoning, au jus seasoning, and butter. Now, if you can't find au jus seasoning, you can easily substitute a brown gravy pack, a chicken gravy pack. They all kind of give you to the same end result. So don't stress if you can't find them. And then I just sprinkle that over my chicken and then I put the whole stick of butter on top. I know some people like to chop it up, but you don't have to. And then with the pepperoncinis, they have kind of a little bit of a tang to them, if you will. To me, they're not particularly spicy. But if you're being very careful about spicy, maybe you just want to add like a tablespoon of juice. If you like the more tangy flavor, go ahead and add 3 to 4. It's totally up to your taste buds. When it gets closer to dinner time, we will make some white rice and then we'll do a can of green beans. This is just a super simple thing. I will say that if you cook it on high, it takes about 3 to 4 hours. But if you cook it on low, it takes about 6 to 8. And I feel like it shreds better when you cook it on low. But if you're really like on a time crunch, it's totally fine to do it on high. Now, before you take these leftovers and send them for lunch, we are going to use another meal that's going to use this leftover chicken. So wait till after that meal before you pack any lunches. The second meal is a garlic shrimp and spinach pasta. Now, I originally found this recipe on like an eating well type site where it was aimed more towards like diabetics and low carb. So this is very easy to modify back to that. You don't have to do it with pasta. You could do it with whatever you like. You could even double up the spinach in this recipe and just do it as spinach and shrimp. Totally up to you. Now, the way I would do this is I'm going to go ahead and cook my spaghetti noodles. You know, you boil water, you cook the noodles, and then you drain them, and then you just set them aside. Now, in a large skillet, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil and about half of my minced garlic, and then we're going to wilt all of our spinach. Now, I have it as a cup. If you really like spinach, you can easily up this. Then once all the spinach is fully wilted, we're going to take that out of the pan and just put it aside for a couple minutes, and then we're going to cook our shrimp. These shrimp from Walmart came frozen. Now, there's a couple different options of how you can defrost these. I know some people just throw the bag in the fridge overnight. That works. You can put them in a colander inside of another bowl. Or what I usually do, because I forget to do this ahead of time, is I just run them under cold water in the sink in a colander just while moving them around, and they defrost fairly quickly. So once you've got the spinach out of the pan, you go ahead and put in a little bit more oil and the rest of your garlic, and then you throw your shrimp in. The shrimp's kind of like a bluish gray color, and then once it fully cooks, it's that really pretty bright pink color. So once you see that pink color, you know that they're fully cooked. Now, once they're fully cooked, we're going to add the pasta to the pan, and we're going to add our cooked spinach back to the pan. And then I stir that really well, and then I like to top it with some of my lemon zest from the fresh lemon, and then some Parmesan cheese. Now, whenever we have pasta, I always like to add bread just because it adds that extra crunch, because pasta typically doesn't have crunch. Now, you could just do butter bread, you could do a garlic bread, or you can even do a cheesy bread. We're going to have multiple cheeses this week, so you could use whatever and just make what works best for your family. Our third dinner this week is going to be Philly cheese brats with fries. Now, I actually priced this out separately as just getting a bag of potatoes versus getting frozen French fries. And honestly, since we didn't need a full 5-pound bag, it actually came out way cheaper to just get a 2-pound bag of French fries. Now, if you already have potatoes at home or you have a use for all 5 pounds, then I would definitely use regular potatoes. You have to use what makes sense for you. Now, if you're going to do it as the frozen fries, just check the back of the bag. They usually have air fryer directions, and most of them are pretty good. If you're going to do fresh potatoes, of course, you're going to wash them and you're going to cut them to whatever desired shape you like. We usually do like wedges or fries or even slices. And then you drizzle them with a little oil and whatever your favorite seasonings are. And then I do them in my air fryer at 400 for about 20 minutes. Now, if your potato is very thin, it probably only takes 15 minutes. If it's very thick, it may take 25. So you'll have to play that one by ear. Now, for the actual brats, what we're going to do is we're going to take our the bell pepper and the onion. I either do slices. My kids are starting to get into this more, so I've been cutting it smaller and doing it diced. This is not set in stone. You just do with what works best for you. And then I put them in a pan and I go ahead and get them nice and tender. And then I add my brats to the pan. Now, you can also grill brats, but sometimes it takes a little while to set up a grill. So this is just a little bit quicker. I add a couple tablespoons of water to the pan and just get them all nice and steamy. And then I put the lid on, let all that work. And then once they're usually already fully cooked, you're just kind of bringing them up to temperature. And then I go ahead and take the brats and put them in my sub rolls. I've got my veggies still in the pan, so I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle them with mozzarella cheese, put the lid back on, let it get all melty, and then put the veggie and cheese on top of my brats. This keeps me from having to put them in my oven just to melt cheese. Now, we're going to serve this with a side of fries, and you could easily add a can of vegetables or a bag of frozen vegetables. But typically at my house, I'm going to go in my fridge and just whatever veggies are left over, we're going to add to this. And you know what? If you don't have a super filled veggie night, it's okay. You can always make them up later. Now, for tonight's dinner, it's going to be so simple because we're going to take that leftover Mississippi chicken and we're going to turn it into pulled chicken taco salads. Now, my Mississippi chicken tends to be a little bit juicy. Like it still has a good amount of the juice, but if yours is a little dry, you may want to add a little bit of water when you add your taco seasoning, just so that way everything gets mixed together. Mine's pretty wet, so I just go straight with taco seasoning. I put it in just like a small pan and I get it all heated up. Once that's all heated up, I go ahead and add in my drained and rinsed black beans. Pulled chicken tends to be very soft and stringy, and it doesn't have a great texture sometimes. So by adding those black beans, I could make that chicken stretch much further, and it also gives it more of a like a crunch or a bite to it. And then we're gonna make just a simple salad with chopped lettuce. The iceberg was much cheaper this week, but you could easily do it with leaf lettuce or romaine lettuce or even bag lettuce if that's what you prefer. You can do a couple of the tomatoes. We're gonna crunch some tortilla chips in there, and then of course shredded cheese. Now my family's typically gonna use ranch dressing, but you could easily use salsa or any dressing that you like. I have seen a chipotle ranch at Walmart that looks really good because I really like that spicy ranch flavor. Which, by the way, if you want to do it yourself, you could just add some taco seasoning to your plain ranch, and that kind of gives it a little bit more kick. Now, if you're not a big fan of taco salads, the alternative to this meal would be to make pulled chicken nachos. It's all going to be the same ingredients, but we're going to lay out our tortilla chips. We're going to spread our chicken and black bean mixture over on top, shred some cheese on there, and either let that get all melty and gooey in the air fryer or in the oven. And then once it's out, you can top it with lettuce, tomato, a little bit more cheese. And if you're a big fan of sour cream, it's fairly inexpensive. It's usually about $1.25. So that would be an easy add on here. Now, I'm sure you've had one of those evenings where you forgot to defrost something, you are super crunched on time, maybe a meeting ran late, and you just got to get dinner from start to finish done as quickly as possible. This is one of those meals. We're going to use a bag of frozen ravioli. The kind at Walmart was like just a regular cheese. Some had meat, some had spinach in them. You just pick whatever flavor works for you. Now, I like to use a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce and then a 14.5-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I'm really hooked on like Italian style tomatoes because they already have the seasoning in there, but you could do plain diced tomatoes and then just add your own seasoning. And I've had a couple questions of why I do this versus jarred sauce. And really, the only difference between what I'm doing and what is in a jarred tomato sauce is someone else is adding the flavoring for you. Now, I can add my own flavoring, and this can save me a little money, but do whatever works best for you. We are going to have a few extra garlic cloves left, so if you really like that flavor, you could easily add this in there. Once the tomato sauce and the tomatoes kind of come up to temperature, we're going to add a cup of spinach in there. Now, if you don't necessarily want to add your spinach there, you could easily make a slight alternative and use that spinach as a side salad. Maybe use up any leftover diced tomatoes, use whatever dressing you already have, pick a cheese to go with it, and that's super simple. For these, we're going to have that other half a loaf of French bread. So once again, you can do butter bread, cheesy bread, garlic bread, whatever works for you. We just want to make sure that we're using up everything and that we're not wasting anything that we already purchased. Okay, let's go to the next one. The last one this week is once again just a throw it all in the pot kind of meal. But what I love about this is a great leftover buster. We're going to go ahead and use up the other half of the onion, the other half of the bell pepper, and then I put on here that we're going to do ground turkey because that was the most cost-effective meat. You could easily do this with any leftover cooked chicken. You could do ground beef, ground turkey, ground chicken, ground pork, whatever works for you. And then we are going to need some tomato juice or some vegetable juice. Think of like a V8. V8s have a lot of extra flavors in there, but you can, if you're looking for something mild, just get straight tomato juice. Now, in the past, these only come normally in like big containers that are 64 ounces, and you really only need 4 cups. So what I've done is sometimes my husband likes to drink these, but sometimes he doesn't get to it. So I use the 4 cups that I need for tonight, and then I put these in ice cube containers. Once they're frozen, then I just bag them up, and the next time I want to make this dish, I can just pull those out and let them defrost. Now, in a pinch, I have actually used 1 can of the condensed tomato soup, and then I just added enough water to make it a total of 4 cups. So either way, you can definitely do this. And then I usually like to add some vegetables. This can easily be any leftover vegetables you have for the week, or you could add like a can of corn, a can of peas, carrots, really whatever you feel like. Then Basically, you're going to start in the pan with your meat. You're going to saute up your vegetables, your garlic, and then you're going to add that tomato juice, the rice, and whatever drained vegetables you're going to add. You let that come to a boil. You put the lid on. You let it cook for 20 to 30 minutes until that rice is tender and most of that liquid is absorbed. Now, I also like to serve this with some shredded cheese on top. My kids really like it with a little sour cream. It's totally up to you. It's just a fantastic way to use up a ton of different leftovers. And you could easily switch this up. You could literally have this every single week just to use up your leftovers, and it would be completely different every week. So it's a great base recipe to have in your arsenal. Now, before we go, I want to give you a little bit more information. Down in the description, you will see a link that will go to the website where you can get all the slides and you can do the free printable. I've got another link that goes directly to my grocery list on Walmart, so that way you can see exactly every single item I got and what the price is. The cool part of this is if you go to the upper right hand corner, you can change the zip code to your area and it will show you everything on my list with prices for your area. Most areas, it only changes by a couple dollars in the total. Some areas, products are not available everywhere. So if I have an item on there that's not available in your store, you may notice kind of a crazy price. So just scroll through if it gets 2 pages long and just make sure that nothing is just way out of whack. I've seen before where it had barbecue sauce for like $18 in one area, whereas when I made the menu, it was only $1 or $2. So keep an eye on that. Next time that you are at Walmart, I want you to check out this bin. It is located between the meat section and the bakery at my store, but it may be anywhere at your store. This is a fairly large display that all has $1 sauces. I posted this on Facebook this morning and people really got a kick out of this. If you're looking for a cheap and easy way to add a little extra kick or extra flavor to your meals, go check out this bin. There are name brands like Kinder's and Melinda's and Sweet Baby Ray's and Frank's, and basically they look like little trial size containers of different sauces. A lot of them tend to be more of hot sauces or barbecue sauces or Asian sauces, but there's a lot of flavor in that little bottle. And then I am much more likely to spend $1 to try out a sauce instead of committing $5, $6, $7 to one of those large bottles, especially if I don't know that I'm going to like that sauce. My husband really enjoys this bin. He treats it almost like it's a collectible thing where he has to try every single sauce. But I tell you what, for only $1, when it comes to the end of my shopping and I may still have a couple extra dollars in my budget, this is where I'm going to spend it because that little extra flavor can take just a boring mundane meal and make it a super awesome meal. And it only costs $1. Typically, you can easily cook with these. It's just so simple. Anyway, sorry I got stuck on the sauces today. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful week and I will see you next time. And don't forget to find us on Facebook. We'd love to talk to you over there. Thanks again. Bye.